clerk will read out the names. It is another wonderful time on television, and you're welcome to the program Parliament and Governance. My name is Evan Sunukogi. Of course, with less than 45 days to go for the presidential election and the National Assembly election, the situation is how competent our lawmakers are going to be. In other words, what kind of competent representation are they going to give to us eventually if they are elected into various senatorial seats and, of course, various House of Representatives seats across the country. Well, we understand that a total number of 109 senators are going to be elected in this election. And also, too, we also understand that a certain number of the House of Representative members are also going to be elected into various federal houses of assembly, as it were. Well, the issue of competence factor in our parliamentary election is one thing that people will always talk about, because when we say competence factor, we are looking at the competence in the senators, in some of the politicians that are vying for these seats. And also, we also talk about the competence as it relates to even the electorate that are going to be voting for these senators and also this House of Assembly, Federal House of Assembly, men and women, as it were. Well, to look at all this today, we are so privileged to have Mr. John Osazua. He's a lecturer with the Department of Political Science and Public Administration, University of Benin, here in Edo State. Sir, welcome to the program Parliament and Governance. All right, now, we're going to be looking at the issue of competence as it relates to the 2023 parliamentary elections. Now, the issue of competence is of two folds now. Competence on the part of the politicians, the candidates in various political parties, and of course competence on the part of the electorate. Let's start with the electorate. How competent should the electorate be? Let's start it from the electorate first.
Thank you very much. Very good moment, viewers. I salute you and I greet you. I must be a lecturer or a teacher. Let me begin with the definition of competence. Competence invariably means the ability to have the capabilities, of doing a particular job or carrying out a particular function. That is competence. That is, you are very confident. Now, coming to electoral aspect, I just want to break down some of the concepts you used. Again, the electorates. The electorates are those who are not contesting in any election, but are the determinants of those who are contesting for an election. So that is the electorates. In terms of competence of the electorates, Nigerians is a variegated society that has been affected by socio-cultural, socio-political, socio-economic, socio-religious, socio-academic, and social factors that have affected their belief system, their opinion base, their attitude and behaviors. Therefore, using these various factors that culminate into personality building, it means that Nigerians have a variegated or a hydra-headed political implications or competence on the various candidates. In other words, there are some electorates, like I've defined it, some electorates who are very close to some of these candidates that benefits directly. It will be even though the people, the politicians, are deviating patriotically, they will still stick to them. So they have competence, they have confidence on such politicians. You understand me? Why some who have not been benefiting, who have been affected, which is called political alienation, will not have confidence. So there will be no political confidence on such politicians. Why some who are called apathetic, that is, I'm neither there nor there, they can also now be influenced by public opinion that these politicians is good, what this electorate is saying is good, that will now also not determine his choice of confidence. So these are the basic things. And another one, what is the financial prowess of the politicians that the electorates will gain, that is the followers. Then what is the family background of this what we call political elites that the electorates which will follow, will choose in creating that competence, in creating confidence. Competence here should be seen as a conceptual framework to say confidence upon the person that is going to be voted for, particularly on the parliamentary, who will be making laws for them. For example, let me become more practical. There is no, in Africa, particularly Nigeria, in Benin, Edo State, you don't have any family in case there is a marriage ceremony or a burial ceremony that you don't have egbe. Let me use the word, with due respect, egbe. That is family members. It is the family members who decide what to be done. And the way it is nowadays, if you don't influence the egbers or some of the egbers, you will not have a very gratified occasion, such as marriage or burial ceremony. Is going to be encountered with conflicting situation.
Okay.
So therefore, it depends on the relationship which I've highlighted so far. That is why I just want to make use of that example.
Okay, now before we proceed, because you've been able to differentiate political confidence and of course political competence. You've said that in the light of somebody in power that seems not to be performing, you still have some persons trying to sing to his praise. That is some form of political confidence, the way you put it. Then why on the other side, political competence simply refers, as it relates to the electorate now, we're talking about the electorate now, we're going to come to the candidates, later on. That political competence, as it relates to the electorate, know that these candidates will not deliver, these candidates will not perform, and as such, they will not vote for this candidate. Now, as far as this election is concerned, now the reason why, one of the reasons why I decided to bring this topic on is that for you guys, the political scientists, you people believe that once we have a viral parliamentary, then of course we are halfway near success in governance. In other words, the 10th assembly is going to be the one we're talking about now, the election that we're talking about now. So if we have a very robust 10th assembly, then of course the issue of presidents and all that may not be a big issue, as it were. Now, as it relates to this election now, what do you think which factor do you think the electorate need to consider more? Is it the political confidence factor or the political competence factor?
The Nigerian situation, as a political scientist, personal opinion though, but it is realistic and it's also very empirical. It is your environment that determines your disposition, your behavioral disposition, your attitude. In other words, if you are hungry, it's different from you are very, very hungry. When you are very, very hungry, you become weaker, you become duller, and you become susceptible to any suggestions that will help you get an immediate meal. Not meal, food. Food is different from meal.
From meal.
Nigerians have been subjected to this nutritional devaluation by these politicians. And this devaluation has so affected their psychology, has so affected their political orientations, to the extent that any politician, irrespective of his political formula, of his political credentials, will be accepted as long as that politician is able to satisfy his stomach infrastructure. Are you following? Mm-hmm. So to this end, any politicians, because of this situation, that is able to satisfy the Nigerian stomach infrastructure, will become competent in the eyes of these electorates, as it is now. And that is very regrettable. That will not promote patriotism. That will not promote nationalism. As you can see, there is no justifiable reason whatsoever that there should be scarcity of fuel now in Edo State. I don't know about other...
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria, yeah.
There is no explanation, objective explanation, when we are oil producing country. So any politician, political elite that is able to, even you, Mr. Evans, despite you are into journalism that helps to promote political education, political enlightenment, and entertainment, if a politician buys you or fill your car or motor with enough fuel, you will say that is a better man.
Not really.
Okay, I'm just being hypothetical.
Okay.
Yeah, with due respect.
All right.
So that is the situation with Nigerians now. We've not been able to distinguish patriotic personality from selfish personality. That has been the problem with Nigerians. And it's going to keep reoccurring simply because the institutions have failed. What are these institutions? The traditional institutions, the religious institutions, the academic institutions. I don't want to just mention political institutions. The socio-economic institutions. When I say the socio-economic institution, because this is a media house, so they are able to help to enlighten the people. Socio-economic institution, for instance, with due respect, he has tried, like Dangote. You'll find Dangote in cement. Now he's going to
oil
refinery.
Yeah.
He's going to refinery now. Spaghetti, sugar, salt, and all that. One person. No, it ought not to be right if we have this. When we have Standard Organization of Nigeria, SON, when we have other institutions. So these other institutions that ought to have helped in managing, in realigning, in correcting the devalued system of the country, they have failed. Therefore, it becomes individualistic. And the Black Law Dictionary says that, yes, discretion is allowed, but don't abuse it. Discretion is you making use of experience in discussing, identifying, and remedializing certain things that are not of value to the society and to the individual. When we say society, there are these individuals and groups.
Okay.
So therefore, the value or the competence of the politicians greatly depends on their expenditure on the electorates.
Okay. Now, if
in Nigeria.
All right. Now, so let us situate the issue one more time, because it appears from your explanation that Nigerians have not been able to emancipate themselves from the kind of political slavery. Let me say most Nigerians now. Most Nigerians have not been able to emancipate themselves from the kind of what some persons see as political slavery. Now, I don't know how a country like Ghana did it. Ghana, had to rise up. They had to make up their mind that, hey, that enough is enough. And of course, they had to change the government, as it were. And except maybe only until recently that they also started beginning to have a fair share of bad governments and all that. But before this time, we saw the kind of transformation that people needed in Ghana. We saw it coming into play. Now, What do you think is wrong with the Nigerian populace, with the Nigerian electorate, that despite all that we have been through, it is still not time that we should have the kind of political reorientation that maybe other nations, they didn't go through the half of the situation that we've been through, and they had to step backward and make all the corrections. So what do you think is wrong with the Nigerian populace, with the Nigerian population, that we cannot make our political corrections?
From your question, you have provided some of the answers. We pray that Nigeria should not experience what Ghana experienced, that led to the evolution. We call it evolution. That is, and you can explain that through the evolutionary theory in political science and in social science. And in social science, Ghana has evolved from a very drastic, acute corruption nation to almost a stabilized African nation. And that is why Nigerians, even Ghanaians and in Africa and worldwide, labeled a particular behavioral disposition called Ghana must go in last millennium. Ghana must go, which has now been translated from social constructivism. Social constructivism can be well understood by those PhD holders. That is, there is a concept you have to say, and you will be able to explain it. That is social constructivism. Ghana must go in Nigeria means that there is a lot of money in a bag, or there is something in the bag that you have to carry. You must carry it and leave. That is Ghana must go. Before all this now came, that is why I said we shouldn't pray, because you will not like, my dear brother, neither any other person will love, that his or our brothers will be killed, will be slaughtered, will be massacred, the way Rollins did it. Will you prefer, or would you allow, or will you pray for such elites, religious elites, traditional elites, academic elites, social elites, or socio-economic elites, or socio-cultural elites should be eliminated?
Well,
I'm answering your question.
The record has it that those that were found guilty.
Guilty? Who found them guilty? Rollins later came in. Who found them guilty? So we don't pray for that. We don't pray for that in Nigeria. What is lacking in Nigeria is that what lacked in Ghana then that they didn't use, because we're now in a democratic society, and we're also in a society where you practice fundamental human rights. What is lacking in Nigeria and fellow other African countries like Rwanda and Ethiopia is that we do not have a strong civil society. But I must praise that those state civil society groups. If you have a very strong civil society, they will be able to tackle this issue you are talking about. For instance, Edo State, with due respect to Edolites, they have lived for almost 7 years, or 7 years without local government administration. That is grassroots government. It is there in every test or in every textbook to you, the viewers. To we call it tests or books, authorities. No local government elections. And now they are not bringing in sole administrators or liaison officer. That is strictly a democracy. If we have a strong civil society group, you should be able to compete. And civil society helps in bringing, in reinforcing, in increasing political education, political enlightenment. And you cannot, one person cannot beat every person. That is what I'm saying. So there is lesser political education, lesser political orientation from Nigerians. Hence, you now have the political or governance lacuna.
Okay, now let us come to...
That is not tend to be autocratic.
All right, now, so let's look at the political, the competence factor now as it relates to the candidates. By the way, the program is Parliament and Governance. We're looking at the 2023 parliamentary elections. and the factor of competence factor is what we are looking at here. Now, we do not know, Mr. Jonas, as well, whether the analysis of political confidence and political competence as it relates to the electorate now, whether it can also work for the candidates. Anyway, from my own understanding, if you look at the candidates now, some of the candidates, even with litigations in courts, they are still campaigning here and there. That seems to be some form of political confidence, at the expense of political competence. Now, why for some they are going in for the first time, why others are going in for the second time?
Third time, sir.
For the third time. Now, the greatest challenge for the electorate is to identify which of these candidates has political competence, which of these candidates can deliver. So what would you want to suggest here? The things that the electorate should look out for to know that XYZ candidate has the kind of political, competence, not confidence now, political competence that the people want, or that the people may want at the end of the day.
Thank you very much. Like I said, due to an inelastic political knowledge, inelastic political education, inelastic political orientation among the electorates, further drastically reduced or influenced or induced by poverty, it will be difficult for the electorates to actually elect their choice mind. Because on that day, for instance, you have a family that has 10 members, adults, above 18 years of age. And they are being offered, let's say, for 5,000 or 10,000. If you have 8, father and mother included, that gives you 80,000. They were able to buy a bag of rice which can last them for 3 months. Undermining patriotism. The question you just asked is patriotism and nationalism. There is no patriotism and nationalism when there is acute poverty.
So that is the...
Those are the first 2 factors that affect competence. Because the government do not even understand, do not even care about the people's welfare. So the people want to care about themselves. How do they get it? It is when election is being conducted. And luckily enough, God has provided the atmosphere. You have presidential election, 10K. You have National Assembly, 10K.
How did you get to do 10K?
I have been on the field. They know me. The viewers, they know me. I've been on the field. I know. 10K.
Is that what some political parties want to give?
They are giving it, not that some. Everybody needs 10K. You have a family of 5, more than 18 years. I just gave you an empirical. I'm telling you, just go and watch. Even the security agency, with due respect, they will collect their 10K and keep, and they close their eye. They will, instead of wearing this open glasses, they will wear sunglasses and not see anything. So poverty is the maker, is the main reason why people will not trade competence for incompetence. When they know vividly, accurately, empirically, that this person is not competent enough to lead us. So the person has provided us at least with at least 3 months or 6 months. From there they can continue.
So from your explanation, we may be having another bleak elections.
It's the one that you are the one using the language bleak. For them who will collect money that day, it is not bleak. What about those citizens that are going to collect Ghana must go from the main contestants to distribute? Are they no more corrupt? You think they are talking about electronic transmission? NEPA will work that day. When you say everybody should go and vote, who will not be at the NEPA station to be switching the switchboard that this light get light? Who will be there?
All right. I'm so afraid that this is all time will permit us to take today on the program Parliament and Governance. It's a situation that all of us almost look into. Well, we're going to try to have a part B of this topic so that we can throw more light on some of the issues. By the way, you must know that a total number of 109 senators are going to be elected come February 25th, and of course a total number of 360 National Assembly, Federal House of Assembly across the federal constituencies in all the 36 states are going to be elected 25th of February 2023. So the biggest issue now is for you as the electorate there, for you to identify who the competent candidate is, so that you don't make the greatest mistake of your life. I want to say a very big thank you to Mr. John
Thank you very much.
for finding time to come on the show today. All right, so that's how we end the program today, Parliament on Governance. Until same time, in another edition, my name is Evan Sunokuge. Goodbye and God bless you.